Hello everybody, and welcome back to Certified Collectibles. Today I'm going to be showing you guys a group of video games that we're about to send off to WATA for grading. Now we only have about 10 games in today's video, and they're all early Pioneer system stuff, like Atari 2600, ColecoVision. I think we have an Atari 400, 800 home computer game, and we also have a super scarce title. I think it gets a rarity 10 on the Atari h.e.r.o index. Incredibly rare title, the only one we've ever seen, so super excited to show you guys that one. All the other games, like I said, early Pioneer stuff, and it took us probably 6 months to put together this group of 10 games. You know, sealed games or high quality CIB games, they've been absorbed on the market. They're just not out there anymore. So it took us a long time to put these together, but these are all scarce, rare titles. So these are titles we don't really ever expect to see, or maybe one every few years pop up anyway. And so we're trying to really kind of step up our buying over this particular period, because there's a lot of people selling some really high-end, really super scarce stuff right now. You know, the economy is not doing so well. The recession is definitely being felt by a lot of people. A lot of collectors are starting to sell off pieces of their collection that they probably would have held long term if it wasn't for this particular economic situation. So we're trying to pick up a lot of these games right now because great buying opportunity. If you can do so, this is a great buying opportunity to pick up games for the future. So that being said, we do have 10 games to take a look at today. We're going to go through these like we always do. I'll give you guys my opinion of how I think they're going to grade. And then, you know, I don't know, 4 or 5 months, whenever we get them back from WATA, we'll do another unboxing here and show you guys what grades we actually got for these games. So let's go ahead and get started. Like I said, 10 games, all early Pioneer stuff. All right. Our first game here is King Kong. Now this box is incredibly well preserved. You know, this should be like a 9.2, 9.4. This is a ColecoVision game. If you guys are familiar with the ColecoVision games, they did not have a cellophane seal, and they did not have a glue seal. They had pieces of tape across the top and bottom. This one here is actually a CIB. The top has been open, but you know, we've actually taken a magnifying glass to this. It must have only been open once or twice. There's no color breaking at all. But even the seam here, it's almost impossible to tell this box has been open. If it wasn't for the piece of tape that's missing from the top, this looks like a unopened copy of this game, but we have never once ever found a tape sealed copy of King Kong. You know, like I said, ColecoVision famous for these tape seals, and there are a couple of their titles out on the market that pop up once every 4 or 5 years that are sealed in great condition, but King Kong is not one of them. Like I said, this one here, we've never seen a sealed one, and very tough to find high-grade CIBs. This here is the highest grade CIB we've ever seen in this game, and we are going to try to send this off and get it graded. Hopefully we'll grade, you know, a 9.2, 9.4. There's a couple little dings on the side, on the one side, and like I said, it has been open. You have a couple dings right here. The seal's still on the bottom. The front is perfect. There's hardly any color rubbing on the King Kong. They did this like kind of foil titling on a lot of their games. There's hardly any color rubbing there. This one here, 9.2, 9.4 in our opinion. Hopefully we get that. This is, like I said, one of the nicest copies we've ever seen of that game, so super excited to send that off. Okay, now move on to a sealed game for the Atari 2600. This is Maze Craze. Now this one here, super scarce. Maze Craze is one of the games that a lot of guys played, myself included, when we were kids. If you had the Atari 2600, you played Maze Craze. This one here, very tough to find cellophane sealed. This actually has a price sticker on it as well. But this here, you know, has a great seal on it. A little bit of rubbing on the seal, but that's not too big a deal. It's not going to really affect the grade that much. The box itself is great. You know, the corners are super sharp on this. The only thing is there is a pretty heavy bowing on the box, but once again, that's the cellophane actually crushing the box over time. As the cellophane, you know, gets hot and cold and shrinks, it starts crushing the box. WATA doesn't take off dramatically for that. You know, it does affect the grade a little bit. It's not going to get a 9.8, of course, because of that. But this should still get a nice 9.2, 9.4 in that range. You know, this, well, like I said, the seal is great. The box has a little bit of bowing. Shouldn't affect it too much. Maze Craze, though, very popular game. And this is one that is sought after in seal condition. I think we have one other copy that we picked up over the last 4 or 5 years. So a tough game to find sealed. Very excited to send that in as well. Hopefully we're going to get a good grade on that. Hopefully it's going to be around 9.2 or 9.4. That's a great one. Okay. Oh, here's one we've never ever seen sealed as well. This is another CIB. This is Tanks But No Tanks. This is a ZMAG game. ZMAG, I think, made 5 games for the Atari 2600, and this is one of them. Like I said, very, very scarce title. Tanks, but no tanks. This box is, I would say, on the high side of good. It's not excellent by any means. It does have a lot of, nicks and color nicks on the edges. It has, of course, been open. There's a little bit of damage on the top. A lot of color rubbing. It's a black box. They don't store all that well over time. Just moving in and out of people's collections, they do rub on the edges. This side here looks great, though. A couple of dings on top. A couple little scuffs, a little crushing here. We're expecting, an 8 or 7 to 8 in that range, let's say. It's kind of a big range, 7, 7.5 or 8, but this one here really depends on the contents. We didn't open any of these games. We typically don't open them more than we need to. When we get them in, we just send them off to WATA. Hopefully all the contents are there, but we don't want to keep opening these flaps, because every time you open them, it does create color breaking, especially if they haven't been open in 10, 15, 20 years. You don't want to be the one to open it and kind of break the color out here and worsen the grade. We'll let the guys at WATA do that, so if they damage it, hopefully, they'll take that into consideration when they grade it. But this one here, like I said, the box is pretty nice. Super rare title, though. We'd be happy with 8 on this. 7.5. 7.5 is where we expect it to hit, but we'd be happy with an 8. 8.5, we'd be ecstatic. Once again, ZMAG only made a handful of games for the system, so any of these titles are incredibly rare. Not all that sought after, but rare titles. Now here's one that is highly sought after. Now you guys should know any of these Activision titles incredibly collectible. There's huge collector bases out there that just collect these Activision titles. This is Fishing Derby. I think we've only ever seen one of these in factory seal condition. This here is a CIB as well. This one here, very nice condition box. I mean, there's hardly any at all color rubbing on this. I don't see any damage or nicks or color rubbing on the sides. You see it across here on the top where it's been open, but that's the only color break. Somebody kept this in great condition. There's a little teeny, crease right here, but there's no crushing. The bottom has never been open. The one point in this that's actually going to bring the grade down a little bit more than it would have been if they just graded the box itself is somebody did write in pen across top and bottom Fishing Derby. It's written on top and the bottom flaps, so that's definitely going to be a big ding on the grade. But once again, this is an immaculate box for a CIB. Like I said, a lot of these have color rubbing. It seems like almost as if someone took the seal off this recently, and put in their collection, because these games over time, we have a couple more copies of this in CIB. They always have color rubbing on the edges. These blue, like these really saturated blue covers, just like the black covers, they didn't store well over time. You definitely had color rubbing. So the fact that this here is in such good condition, hopefully we'll get, once again, 9294 is what we expect on this if the contents are in as good a condition as the outside box. So 9294 will be incredibly happy with that grade. Like I said, we've only ever seen one factory sealed copy, so to have a super high grade CIB, we'd be happy with that. Gotta be careful with all these. Have a tendency to damage these when we get them in the office. All right, moving on to ColecoVision. This is h.e.r.o. You guys all know this title from the Atari 2600. Super rare on the Atari 2600. But ColecoVision, we've seen far fewer copies for the ColecoVision than we have for the Atari 2600. I think for the Atari 2600, we have 2 or 3 copies in stock. It's a rare game, don't get me wrong, for the Atari 2600. We probably have half the population of that. But this one here, we've only ever seen, I think, 2 or 3 copies for the ColecoVision. And this here actually has the Activision for ColecoVision sticker on it. The box itself, incredibly sharp, all the corners. We don't see any dinging. The seal on this, this is a great copy. I was looking at this earlier. There's no crushing. Somebody kept this in excellent condition. The edges are fine. There's no tears or holes or rips in the seal. There's no problems at all with this box. The corners didn't poke through. Still, the seal is still nice and tight on the corners. A little dusty. But the seals are still nice and tight on the corners here. There's no issues at all with this. There's no crushing. I mean, this box is great. We expect a 9.6 out of this. 9.6, 9.8 even. This one here, incredibly high grade, and has the little Activision for ColecoVision sticker there. We've only ever seen this copy with that sticker. That is a super high grade version of h.e.r.o. for the ColecoVision. That one there, we're incredibly happy to have. Hopefully we'll get a 9.8 out of that one. This is the other copy that we have to show you guys. Same game, h.e.r.o, but without the Activision for ColecoVision sticker. A little dusty as well. Guess we didn't wipe these down before the show. Anyway, this one here, same as the other one. Super tight seal across all the corners, all the edges. Corners are not poking through any of these. This one here, just like the other one, the seal is perfect, immaculate, no tears, rips, holes, or anywhere in the seal. No crushing on the backs, no dings on the edges here. Somebody kept this game in perfect condition. These did not come from the same collector. So to find two copies like this in perfect condition, impossible. But like I said, people are starting to sell, collectors are starting to sell some of the keys to their collection just to afford to live nowadays. Because like I said, the economic condition right now, it's a buyer's market. Unfortunately, sellers are selling some other collection that they'd rather held on to. But when it comes to, got myself dusty, when it comes to surviving and maintaining your livelihood and supporting your family or holding on to your collection, you have to make the choice that's appropriate for you. So like I said, buyer's market, and we are buying a lot of these games that we've never seen on the market ever. And we do have two copies of h.e.r.o that we're sending in for the ColecoVision. Here's another title for the ColecoVision. This one here, once again, this CIB, clearly. These were glued down like this on the back. These had these little flaps that glued down, so they're always like this when you get them CIB. They always stick up like this. But Rocky, this one here is a game that you hardly ever find. I think I've only ever seen one of these factory sealed. All the other ones are CIB. This one here has the stickers on it. I thought, no, they were actually only glue sealed. They didn't have cellophane seals. So the glue seals, when they're actually factory sealed, are tight like this, and of course there's no color breaking here. This one here has been open, but that's why you have the price sticker right on the box, because these did not have a cellophane seal. So once again, this one here has been open. This is a CIB version, but incredibly nice high grade condition box. These edges, very nice condition. A little price sticker ripped off the bottom there. Glue seal on the bottom is still nice and tight. These edges don't really show any dings or color rubbing. The only color rubbing, of course, or color break is here on top, and of course the top is creased where it has been open. But once again, a super high-grade copy of this for a CIB. You really don't find these. People, and these came with a little overlays for the controllers. People typically lose those, and even if they are CIB, they don't come with these little pads, these little overlay pads for the controller. So even if they are CIB, they are missing some components. This one here is complete. We did check this one because it was clearly opened and very easy to access. So we have checked the contents of this one. Contents are great as well. So this one here, we do expect a pretty decent grade on. I'd say 8.0, 8.5 on this. And that is one of the highest grades we've seen for this. I think we've only seen a couple in CIB graded as well. So 8.5, 8.0, 8.5, we'd be super happy with that. This is a tough game to find with the box and manual and the little overlays. So that one there, excited to have that, takes you right back to the 80s and 90s. The Sylvester Stallone Rocky title. Super cool to have in your collection. All right, keeping it going with the ColecoVision. We have Jawbreaker 2. Now this here is factory sealed. As you can see, this seal is great on this. It's starting to pop here on the seam, but WATA doesn't take off for that. The box is incredibly well preserved. Once again, there's no corners poking through the seal. Edges here don't really show any damage, any crushing. There's a little pop right here. It looks like where something hit the edge, but it really didn't cause hardly any damage. That might take it down half a point on the grade. But that's it. That's all we see on this. So this should be like a 9.4 because of that little spot. If it didn't have that, I would say 9.6, 9.8. But I'd say 9.4 solid. Maybe 9.6 if there's nothing else at all wrong with this. They might go ahead and kick up to 9.6 even with that little bump there. But 9.4 is the grade we expect out of this. Super high grade copy of this. Jawbreaker 2. All right. Take a look at this one. Here we have the one copy that we have for the Atari 400, 800 home computer. This is Defender. Now this is the only factory sealed copy of this game we've ever seen. Thought that was, it's a little dusty, I guess. Thought that was actually just some rubbing on the cellophane there. I guess it's a combination of rubbing and dust. Thought we dusted these a little bit better before the show, but this one here, like I said, this is the only copy of this game we've ever seen factory sealed for the Atari 400, 800 home computer. These games are super tough to find factory sealed and in any kind of condition. You know, these big boxes like this always got thrown away, always got beat up because the contents only take up a little teeny part of the inside of this box. You know, these boxes were made for big displays in stores, so they sold well. So these boxes here did not preserve very well. You had to have somebody that took care of this for the last 40 years in order to get a box like this. So this one here, incredibly rare. Like I said, there's only one we've ever seen. We've never even seen a CIB of Defender for the Atari 400, 800. So we're incredibly happy to have found this. Once again, the edge of this, perfect. There's a little bump, one little teeny bump right there, but I mean, negligible. The back of this is great. Edges are great. There's no corners poking through the seal. Seal's 100% intact. That little ding right here on the edge, that's the only thing we see that's going to affect the grade. I mean, this is a fantastically well-preserved copy of this game. I mean, we just can't believe that this lasted this long. These big boxes, people just did not keep these nice. They're tough to keep nice in these big boxes. A lot of room for error, a lot of room for damage here. You know, so to find this here, factory sealed in this condition, super happy with that find. And now, as promised, we do have a Rarity 10 game. If you guys go to the Atari Age Rarity Index, this is a Rarity 10. And if you go to any of the other Rarity guides, this ranks about 91, 95% out of 100 in the level of scarcity. So we don't ever expect to see another one of these in our life. This one here, incredibly scarce title. This is Copycart. This was an incredibly revolutionary device when it came out back in the Atari age. With this one here, it came with two pieces. This device came in two pieces. One is a blank cartridge, one is a copying device, and what you did was you actually put the blank cartridge on the top of the copying device, put your game on top of that, and it ran on batteries. You just push a little switch, and it actually copied the cartridge onto the blank cartridge, and the blank cartridge was rewritable. So you borrowed a friend's game, copied it, made a copy of it, played it. Once you're done with that game, you get another game from a friend, put that in there, copy it onto the same cartridge, the same blank rewritable cartridge, and you just kept doing that. So you didn't actually have to buy games. You just kept copying on this. This actually sold for about $50, I think $49.95 when it first came out. Not a lot of them out there. Like I said, this is a rarity of 10. You don't ever expect to find this game or this device. This box here has seen many better days. It is not great condition. As you can see, this damage here on the edges here, especially on these edges here, you can see the edges over here. This is not, edges down here, especially this part. Now this is not color ribbing, this is actually worm damage, this is insect damage. So this is not a great condition box. The only reason we bought it is because, like I said, it's a Rarity 10. We'll never see another one of these in my lifetime, I'm sure of it. So this one here, like I said, the condition is not great. We are going to try to send this off to VGA to see if they'll grade it. You know, we really don't know. We're going to put a phone call in with them, see if they'll actually grade this. This is complete, has the instructions, has both the blank cartridge and the copying device. You know, and they both have the same serial number, which is important because people do try to put these together out of incomplete parts. They try to just match up different copy carts and the blank cartridge. So this one here has both matching serial numbers and the game that comes with it. This, I think, comes with I Want My Mommy, a ZMAG game, like we showed you guys here at the Tanks Minute Tanks. This came with I Want My Mommy, this riveting game, it sounds like. Some copies also came with the Tanks Minute Tanks, and some copies actually came with Dish Aster, another ZMAG game. Like I said, there's only 4 ZMAG games, and almost all of them randomly came with this particular device, this Copycart. So this one here, incredibly rare to find. But as you can see, the box actually presents pretty well. You can see all the text, all the graphics on the back are great, and all the text in front, there's nothing that's actually destroying the text or the graphics. It's just the edges and the sides. You know, like I said, that is worm damage. That, you know, is something from insects actually eating the cardboard. So not a great copy. If we do get this graded by VGA, we're expecting like a 4 in the 40 range, like 45, 50, but whatever. It really doesn't matter. We'll never see another one of these, and I can't imagine they've graded but maybe 1 in their career, so if they do grade these at all. So this one here, super happy to find this. Like I said, Rarity 10. This is one of the only Rarity 10 items that we have. So incredibly happy to add that to our collection. So there you have the 10 games that we have for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Please feel free to drop some comments in the comment section below. Thumbs up if you like this video. And as always, please remember to subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. Thank you for joining us here at Certified Collectibles, and we'll see you again next time.